I'm Casey. I work in the cooking schools. I'm one of the chefs, and we are full swing in grilling season, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the important tips to keep in mind. We've got a bunch of different meats here. We've got our New York steak, Bob's Burgers, and then a gourmet turkey burger here. The first thing though, you want to season really well with salt and pepper. The salt's really important. It's going to help tenderize your meat a little bit, but it's also more fat that's in the meat absorbs more of the salt, and the salt's going to help bring out a lot of the flavor. So the more fat that's in the meat, the more salt you're going to want to use. If you're marinating your meat ahead of time, if there's a lot of acid in your marinade, you don't want to marinate for too long. Probably an hour, maybe two for this size of meat. The problem with the acids is they will actually start to cook your meat before it's on the grill. If you've heard of ceviche, it's that same effect. Let your meat sit out at room temperature for at least 30 minutes prior to cooking. The reason for that is the internal temperature straight in the fridge is going to be really cold. It's going to take a lot longer on the grill to come up to that internal temperature we're looking for. By letting it come to room temperature, you're going to have a lot nicer sear, and you're going to have to cook it less to get that internal temperature where you want it. So when we finally go on the grill, we want to let the grill do the job. So we're going to put it on the grill and let it sit there for at least a minute, probably two if you have a thick cut of steak, before you even rotate it. The reason you don't want to turn it too many times is because you're going to cook that outside a lot without cooking the inside. Turn it just enough to get those nice crosshatch grill marks that you're going to get, and then flip it one time and then rotate it one more time. When you're flipping, don't use a fork. Use either a spatula or tongs. By using a fork, you're going to pierce the meat and the juices are going to start running out that way. Your tongs do an amazing job for the burgers or the ground meat. You're going to want to use a spatula just so it doesn't fall through. The temperature, I've been talking a lot about internal temperatures. For rare, you want to cook your steak to 120, 125. For medium rare, 130 to 135. For medium, 140, 145. For medium well, 150, 155. And for well done, 160, 165. Your ground meats, the FDA does want them to go all the way to the 160 mark. Anything poultry needs to be to the 160 mark. Pork only needs to be cooked to 145, and seafood, don't overcook it. Only go to 130, 135 right there, and that's where you want to stop. By using a meat thermometer, you're going to get a lot more accurate reading. It's going to be a lot safer, and when you do that, you just want to insert to the thickest part of the meat on the side, not straight down. Go from the side. It's going to be a lot better for you. When it comes off of your grill, you want to let your meat rest. A good rule of thumb is about half the time it takes to cook. So if it cooks for 10 minutes, let it rest for 5 minutes. There's a whole carryover cook rule, and your meat is actually going to continue to cook while it's just resting. The juices in there, the molecules are moving around so fast because they're so hot. You want to let them rest and relax and reabsorb into the meat. By not letting it rest, you cut into it, all your juices are just going to end up on your plate rather than inside your meat where you want them. In the end, if you have any more questions, come into Harmons, make friends with your butcher, talk to them. You can also talk to a cooking school chef, and have a great, safe grilling season.